Bonjour, brought to you by Safaricom, a proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.
Hello there and welcome to another edition of Bonjour. I'm Bernard Ndong.
Elias Makori.
Now, Mr. Elias, one more medal and counting. We now have 4 medals at least at the Paris Olympic Games.
It's a very difficult mining ground here. It's been very tough. Of course, a lot of improvements in other countries. We saw how the 1500 meters went, the women's steeplechase, former Kenyan Wilfred Yavi running for Bahrain, winning it. So, not too bad a day in the office, but a lot of cause for concern. You know, the other countries are catching up fast. Indeed.
Now, let's reflect on the 3000 meter steeplechase. That was one of the finals that Kenyans were perhaps hoping to reap big in terms of medals. But I was just looking at the caliber of athletes in general. We also had the defending champion, Perik Chemtai. She won it in 2020 in Tokyo. And then we had the younging, Faith Cherotich. And just looking at that caliber of athletes there, obviously you knew it was going to be a very tight race. It was going to be a very entertaining race. It was going to be a very tactical race. And that's actually how it unfolded, because if you look at it, Beatrice Chepkoech, traditionally, the way she normally does, she went ahead, she surged ahead. But as the race progressed, you could see that she did not have enough, that final push when it mattered.
And yeah, I mean, we understand her concerns because she had a serious bout of pneumonia. And this is where really, an appeal to the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, as much as they do the testing, there should be some humane way of doing it, because she complained about being kept in the cold after the national trials, with a wet singlet, and that really affected her. She caught a very bad bout of pneumonia, and coming here into the semi-finals, she was on medication. She had to cut down the medication because it was wearing her down. And these days with the complexity of the anti-doping regulations, you don't just take any medication, you have to be very careful. So she really pushed, but her body refused.
Pneumonia, nilipata pneumonia after trials. Naona wakati tulimaliza trials nilienda kwa doping immediately na mangu ilikuwa wet. So after coming out from doping, ilikuwa different. Nilikough sana, and wakati tuliingia kwa camp, nilireport nikasema, can someone accompany me to hospital, at least nijue what is problem, because I was really coughing a lot. Then nikaambiwa maybe it's an allergy. So mi sikushughulika. Wakati nilienda Paris, hiyo baridi ya ndege ikazidisha. So kwenda kujaribu kwa kiwanja, I feel chest ilikuwa inawaka moto. So kurudi home, I went to hospital immediately. Nikafanya test and I got pneumonia was positive. And blood, my HP went down up to 12.2. So nikajaribu sasa kutreat like 1 week without training, and then the last 2 weeks before we travel, then nilirudi back for training, and the last week before to travel hapa, I feel it again, and then I went back to hospital. I did the test again, and then nikaambiwa bado iko pneumonia, bado iko juu. So nikaitisha tu antibiotics, of course singeendelea kupata injection sababu ya ingenichokesha zaidi.
But the good thing again, the young Faith came through, getting the bronze, a very good prospect for the future, because we are seeing her, graduating from the junior ranks to the future. Beatrice is leaving. She actually said it's her final race, steeplechase. She's a world record holder, moving on to the marathon. So it was a generational exchange, if you like, Faith coming in and Beatrice exiting the stage. Not in a good way that she would have liked to,
absolutely,
but...
Absolutely. And speaking of Beatrice, even when she was just reflecting on her race, you could see that it really took a toll on her. She was breathing heavily. It felt like she was a very labored breath. Not obviously because she had run a steeplechase, but it felt like she was really not at 100% health-wise.
Yeah, to medal in a championship like this, everything has to be perfect. Your health has to be good, you wake up well, no medication, your body is feeling good. But, on some occasions you find, unfortunately, there's a cold here, a bout of flu there. So it was bad luck for her. She really wanted to do something, get a medal and leave the steeplechase stage a world champion, or at least, an Olympic champion, or at least an Olympic medalist. So very sad for her, but she's done Kenya proud, breaking the world record and keeping the name up there.
Now, one athlete who put Kenya's name on the map in terms of the podium was obviously the younging, Faith Cherotich. And I think for her, she's always humble, she's very soft-spoken. I remember when she won a title last year in Monaco at the World Athletics Awards, and you could just see that she lets her running do the talking. she just is very calm, very composed. I just feel like she needs to be a little bit more aggressive. She needs to be a little bit more hungrier. And I think this is one of the athletes who will definitely reclaim Kenya's throne per se in the steeplechase.
Exactly. I was actually impressed the way I'm impressed the way she handled the press interviews after the race. Very shy, but she really went on, and you can see her confidence is growing.
Yes.
And that's what we need actually, the backroom staff of the Olympic Committee, Athletics Kenya, people who can build the characters, the media savviness of these people, our athletes, so that they develop off the track as well as on the track. So she's really developing well. She needs that extra push. We need psychologists, we need psychiatrists, we need nutritionists,
even mental coaches, because in some instances
yeah.
you need a mental coach just to give you that extra push.
Exactly, like in the 1500 meters, which we'll talk about, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, this is a nearly man, he's almost there, but there's something is lacking. It was his race to win, but somehow it didn't go well for him.
Now, 1500 meters, no one would have expected that an American would be winning 1 and 3, because the battle, obviously, some would think it was between Joshka and Jacob Ingebrigtsen, and then maybe perhaps Kenyan would come and spoil the party to some extent. But for the Kenyans, I was surprised, because we seem to be like clutching at straws in terms of our strategy. First, Brian Komen goes into the lead temporarily, then he's passed by Jacob Ingebrigtsen, and then sooner you see, a few moments later, you're seeing Timothy Cheruiyot surging ahead. It felt almost erratic in terms of strategy. It wasn't very clear.
Yeah, I mean, we still really miss the likes of Asbel Kiprop. His technique, he used to toy around with the field. He'd attack from behind or go in front, push the pace. He was a lot more confident. Brian Komen did well pushing, but I think the strategy didn't work. Like Coach Ben Oma was saying, we spoke before the race, Timothy's coach, that definitely it will be Joshka and Jakob, pushing the pace and tiring the rest of the field, with Yared Negusie from US also in the mix. And that's what happened until we got the surprise winner.
The shocker.
The shocker. One of the upsets of the championship so far.
Cole Hoka the shocker, because the American, no one would have expected him to be the... You've spoken of that other gentleman. Yeah. He won the bronze, but Hoka came out of nowhere. You could just see how hungry he was in those last 40 meters. And obviously some would have thought that he was going to win it, but there's a way that Hoka just timed his race to perfection. Let's focus on something different. And there was also the qualifying rounds in different sporting disciplines, and more specifically the field events. There was Julius Yego. He's an evergreen, some would say. Evergreen. He seems to step up when it matters. Yeah, throwing an 85 plus throw. I think it was 85.97. Season's best.
Season's best.
And he's in the final of the men's javelin of the Olympics.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's like Italian. Is it French wine?
Because French wine, yeah. French wine.
Because we're in France. You know, it gets better with years. And he said, he was joking in the mixed zone that he'll have to postpone his retirement because he sees his body is responding. He was very grateful for the period of a couple of weeks he was training in Miramas, because he was trying to get his technique right. The throwing technique, which everything came together. And 84 meters for qualifying for the big Q, the automatic qualification was a tall order, and he just got that on his third attempt. And now it's anybody's game. In the final, you just need that one good throw.
Speaking of the Kenyan team in totality, Alexandra Ndolo, of course, she made history by being the first Kenyan to compete in the fencing competition. Yes, she bowed out, losing by just a point. But it just tells you that there's a lot of potential for Kenya. A lot of potential.
I mean, it was like stoppage time in football.
Yes.
Because they were tied 12 points, and then the Ukrainian got the better of her in the sudden death, if you like, part of the play.
It was an amazing feeling to qualify for the Olympics, because I've been dreaming about this since I was a little kid, and now I can finally call myself an Olympian.
How did it feel now when you traveled to Paris, when you actually landed in the Olympics village? How was it for you there?
You get into the village and you see all the different team houses. Team Kenya was with Team Ireland in one building. You see like a huge block just for Team France, which is around the corner. We have a cafeteria which can house thousands of athletes. You see all sizes. You see absolute sports stars.
Which sports star do you take selfies with? Who did you meet and you're like, wow, I really need to take a photo with this individual?
So I didn't take any photos because that's not me. But I was like really, when I was checking in, Andy Murray was standing next to me. And you're like, okay. So heading into the match, I was really focused. For example, my competition was on the 27th, so I couldn't go to the opening ceremony, so that was a bit, you know.
Oh, you didn't go for the opening
No,
ceremony?
I couldn't, because I told myself I need to be as best prepared as possible. So lining up to this event the last weeks and months I've been professional, so how can I go to an opening ceremony in the rain on the 26th if I'm competing on the 27th? So the only thing I did, I put on the beautiful clothes that we got for the opening ceremony, I took some pictures with the team, and then I went to bed. And the morning of the competition, I would say I felt good. I was nervous, obviously, but I felt good. And yeah, then it was time to compete. So it was pretty disappointing losing by a point, because I know that I'm capable of winning. I know that I'm capable of beating most opponents. So I didn't go into this match thinking that I necessarily had to lose. I always respect my opponents, but then when you lose by a point, you're like, I could have also won, right? It was not a match that was badly set up from my end. In the end, it was like, you know, I missed, she didn't, just a small thing, and all of a sudden you're out of the Olympic competition. So I talked to my mental coach before the competition, and I said, listen, there are only 3 medals out of more than, I think we were 37 women in the field, so a lot of people will be disappointed. It's possible to lose in the first round. So how do we approach it? What would success mean to me? And we said that if I represent myself well, if I represent the country well, if I perform, if I'm in the match and I lose, then that would be success for me. And even though we talked about all these things, obviously I was hugely disappointed, because I just wanted more. You know, the medals are literally in the venue, the medals that you are gunning for, that you want to get. So it took me a while to realize that I've done something great. You know, I've written history for Kenya, but on the other side, I only had that one match, and I wanted so much more.
When you went to watch the game between Kenya and Poland for volleyball, because you have Polish roots, you have Kenyan roots.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
So it was interesting because, of course,
team were you supporting?
I was supporting Team Kenya. Oh, yeah. Listen, as long as I am in Team Kenya, I will always support Team Kenya. But of course, I saw some good points. You know, Poland in the end won, so I got some good points done by them, and I was kind of like, oh, this was good. And I even know the Polish cheer, right? So at a moment I was like, oh no, wait, you can't cheer for this point because you're still sitting in the Team Kenya section. So it was emotional, but in the end, I think our ladies did us proud. You know, they fought so hard. Poland is a really strong opponent. So yeah, I was proud of them. Yeah.
So finally, what's next for you? You've done the Olympics. How is the rest of the year for you now?
So I'm definitely going to take some time off, because I haven't taken real time off in 17 years. So I need a break. I need to sort out some stuff. I also need to find out how the next 4 years can be financed. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it all comes back to this point, you know. African Championship titles and Olympic qualifications, they don't just happen overnight, and they don't just happen without a budget. So this needs to be sorted out. I've been saying this when I started this qualification route, and now I'm here, and I think if things will be a little bit easier and I don't have to take care of everything myself or ask my mother to support, then we can ask of even more and better results of myself, you know, because LA is kind of around the corner, right? 4 years, not that long, and I think I could do us even prouder.
Well, that marks the end of Bonjour. Thank you so much for watching. From myself, Bernard Ndong, and Elias Makori, as usual, outside the Stade de France. I know it'll be sounding like a broken record, but it's Athletics Week here in Paris, in France, at the Olympic Games. We'll see you again. As always, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bonjour, brought to you by Safaricom, a proud sponsor of Team Kenya at the Olympics.